If the Scream 7 news wasn't already chaotic enough for you, we're getting a full-on reboot. Some fans are oddly celebrating, maybe because they didn't like the last two movies, but I promise you this is not going to be a good thing for the Scream franchise. Let's talk a little bit about why.
Gobble, gobble, mother...
Alright, so many of our friends out there may not know what's going on with the Scream situation, so let me just recap the past 2 weeks. On November 21st, the news broke that Spyglass had fired Melissa Barrera from the upcoming 7th Scream movie over social media posts that the company decision makers characterized as anti-Semitic. Now, a few things I want to clarify about this is that the firing actually happened a couple of weeks into the Israel and Hamas war, when Melissa Barrera was starting to express controversial opinions about everything going on. Here's what I want to say about this. Melissa Barrera never actually said anything anti-Semitic. She just shared an article that Spyglass is deeming anti-Semitic. In fact, years ago in an interview, Melissa Barrera actually said this really interesting thing about her platform.
I hope that one day when my platform is bigger and my voice can be louder, I will be able to use it for good, you know, to protect people and to make a difference. That's, I feel like, the way that I'm gonna compensate for my silence right now.
I want to credit Anne on Twitter for sharing this post, otherwise it would not be in this video. Their X or Twitter handle will be right down below here. So not to get political, but I don't feel like Melissa Barrera was actually trying to express something anti-Semitic, and Spyglass may have jumped the gun. Listen, if you disagree, that's cool. I'm just making an assumption based off of what I've seen Melissa Barrera say. I don't know her. I've never met her before in my entire life, and you most likely haven't either. A day later, it came out that Jenna Ortega, who plays Melissa Barrera's on-screen sister, was also not returning for the 7th installment due to a pay dispute. Scheduling issues have also been cited, but sources say that Jenna Ortega, who has skyrocketed from child star to supporting player in last year's Scream to the A-list thanks to her turn in the Netflix series Wednesday, asked for a bigger payday for the 7th installment, asking for 7 figures specifically. THR also cites that she anticipated that Spyglass would balk. That means hesitate. So just like Neve Campbell, Jenna Ortega didn't want to come back for another Scream film unless she was getting a bigger payday. She is an A-lister now, which she wasn't when she was doing Scream 5. This makes sense. This is a typical Hollywood move. No surprises there. But if I'm being honest, I think Gary Barber from Spyglass has made a huge mistake here. Not only did this producer screw over Neve Campbell last year, but now he screwed over Jenna Ortega, which might have been the last nail in Spyglass's coffin, or at least the last nail in the Scream franchise's coffin, because the only reason Scream 6 was so successful, and I hate saying this because I love Scream 6, but it's because Wednesday was so popular the previous year. If Wednesday hadn't blown up and then like less than 4 months later Scream 6 came out, I guarantee you it would not have made more money than the previous entry. Scream 2022 pulled in a little over 140 million, where the sequel, Scream 6, pulled in 169 million. Ooh, 69. Now, did Scream 6 make nearly 30 million more dollars because it's a better movie? In my opinion, I think it is, but I don't think that's why the general audience decided to go to this movie more. I think it's because they saw Wednesday Addams on the big screen. And Scream 2022 came out 11 months prior to Wednesday Season 1. It's the same thing that happened with Stranger Things to It 2017. You had Mike from that movie also in this, another form of media where kids on bikes have to fight some kind of crazy monster. Yeah, of course we're gonna check it out. Stranger Things fans ran to the theaters, or maybe biked to the theaters. Ooh, shit. Point being, this is not exactly a far-fetched theory. Another thing that puts a bad taste in my mouth about this Gary Barber character is that insiders say that he didn't need Neve, so he doesn't need Jenna either. As a filmmaker myself, I always value the actors I work with, and I'm very thankful for their performances and hard work on my crazy-ass projects. This guy clearly is not. Jenna knows that she's a huge pull for these movies. That's why she's asking for more money. If you think that's ridiculous, well, that's something that's been going on in Hollywood for ages. That's not being greedy, that's just making a good business play. But Spyglass thinking they don't need Jenna Ortega is really fucking dumb, and honestly might result in Scream 7 being a box office flop, very similar to Scream 4. This THR article goes on to say that they're going to be retooling and rebooting the Scream franchise with the 7th installment, most likely with brand new characters being attacked by Ghostface somewhere else, apart from the story we've seen play through in the last 6 movies. Now listen, there's pros and cons to this. I'm not defending this decision. Honestly, a reboot of the Scream franchise wouldn't be the worst thing that ever happened. Here's the thing though, the reason this reboot is happening is because they just simply don't want to pay Neve Campbell or Jenna Ortega, which fucking sucks. This is not a good reason to reboot your franchise. I think if after Scream 7 they had told one more Sidney Prescott story, kind of giving closure to that character, and maybe closure to the core 4 characters as well, that would have been a perfect time to reboot the franchise. Like, you know, 9 years or so maybe after that movie. Very similar to what happened with like Rob Zombie's Halloween, those two movies then moving into Halloween 2018, which was 9 years later and a total reboot of the franchise with a brand new way to tell its story, being a sequel to the original where Rob Zombie's 2 movies are remakes. That was a good move from Blumhouse, because if they would have made another remake with Halloween 2018, I don't think people would have been as interested. The fact that it was this continuation to the original made it exciting. The reboot of Scream 7 is coming from a destructive manner, which absolutely sucks. The reboot that I was pitching in the past was not of a destructive manner, it's just the fact that Sidney Prescott's story would have been over if they would have told one more story about her family. I mean, you can't just keep throwing ghost faces at Sidney and expect people to come and watch it. There is a small subsection of the Scream fandom that would see like 100 movies where Sidney Prescott is getting attacked by ghost faces, but at some point it's gonna turn into Fast and Furious and it's just gonna get ridiculous. I think the Scream franchise is better than that personally. The other thing that's so scary about this THR article is that they only announced 2 people who were a part of the previous project to still be on board. That's Christopher Landon in the director's chair and James Vanderbilt writing the script. No mention of Guy Busick, no mention of the rest of the cast from the previous movies, and no mention of Radio Silence, who will most likely not be producing this one. I would be jumping ship as well if all of this crazy shit was going on. I would not want to be a part of this project. The THR article reporting on this says while some insiders say the situation is a shambles and very raw, it may not be as dire as it might seem. Scream has always had interchangeable villains behind the mask, ensemble casts, and certain legacy characters. Another reboot will not fatally stab the franchise. Christopher Landon remains on board as director, as does James Vanderbilt, who co-wrote the 2 previous installments. I think this THR article makes a point. I think we can have different heroes in this franchise, but now is not the time for that. It's just distasteful considering everything that's going on behind the scenes. The hardcore fans who love these movies for the characters are not going to be happy with that no matter what you do. This blow would be softened if there was one more movie where it's just like, here's the ending of the story, that's gonna be it for Sidney Prescott, now let's move on and tell some other Ghostface focused stories into the future. But now Spyglass has robbed us of a potential movie where Neve Campbell comes back with Mark Kincaid, played by Patrick Dempsey, where they're fighting off against one last Ghostface that goes after their family. That would have been a great way to end this trilogy, I think. Now that of course is just a rumor, no one knows exactly what the plan was for Scream 7, even though many claim to, but whatever Scream 7 was going to be, it had to have focused on either the core 4 or maybe Neve Campbell again playing Sidney Prescott. And either one of those options would have been really cool for Scream fans. Now, that's just not a possibility. One of the biggest positives for Scream 7 that I was talking about was the fact that they had so many different avenues to go down for the next film. They could have told a core 4 story, they could have focused on the legacy characters like Sidney Prescott, maybe even Gale Weathers. Now, all of those possibilities have been shot down. I love Christopher Landon and James Vanderbilt. I think they're both very talented, but I don't even think they're gonna be able to solve this mess because of all of the bad press. Oh wow, that rhymed. I hate to sound so doom and gloom, I am an eternal optimist, but I just don't have any faith in this project whatsoever. This is not the first time studios have interfered with Scream sequels, and it's resulted, in my opinion, in messy movies in the past. So I really hope that Scream 7 is able to find a way to still be good, but I'm not expecting the best from the franchise, not even by a long shot. And if you're someone watching this video and you're celebrating over this news and you're so excited for Scream 7 still, I hope you're right. The first truly bad Scream film, I believe, is on the horizon, but hopefully I'm dead wrong. How do you guys feel about Scream 7 right now, though? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Please do not get political. I will shit on your windshield. I will spread my poop all over your house if you get political in my comment section. Just don't do it. Let's just talk about movies. That's what this page is for after all. Thank you all so much for watching this brand new Scream 7 update and putting up with my sickly voice. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more updates in the future. Please consider supporting me on Patreon and checking out my merch store to support this channel further. Thank you all again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.